Okay, so we're out of time, so we're going to speed through the wrap up here. And at the end, if there's any remaining questions, we'll take them. End of year one requires the staff demographic, the course, the student course section, the SETE, and the WBLR files. Staff demographic only if you have staff changes after census day. The course, remember, it's the course completion file, not the CRSE course enrollment. The student course section, you're going to give us the credits, the grades. Again, this is not the student course enrollment, it's the SESE completion. If you've had any completers, any CTE completers, you have to submit a SETE file. Otherwise, there's no way to indicate the students actually completed. And then the work-based learning, grades 9 through 12, you have to submit this, especially if you have those students who are transition students. This is not only for the CCI, but you want to report that data for the Individuals with Disability Act requirements. Course completion data is for departmentalized courses only, grades 9 through 12, optional for your middle school 7th and 8th graders. There's a distinction between 7th and 8th grade and 9 through 12 in that 7th and 8th grades only require grades, while 9 through 12, you have to report grades, credits attempted, credits earned, and Carnegie units. Submit student course completion file for those students who completed official grading periods. They actually received marks. Identify your CTE participants by submitting course completion records. CTE completers are identified by submitting student career technical education records, those SETE records. Remember, submit those students who complete their capstone class in the year that they complete their capstone course. What is the data used for? Just to recap, data quest, publicly available, the California School Dashboard, publicly available. To complete your SARC and add data, how it's used for your state. Most importantly, end of year one, a lot of the data meets those Carl Perkins reporting requirements. Then your Individuals with Disabilities Act, that's the transition work-based learning. And then you have civil rights, migrant ed reporting for the Carnegie unit and EdFacts, right? So there's this CCI readiness matrix. It helps you identify how a student is identified, if they're approaching prepared or prepared. The latest one is maybe 2019. This is, of course, a screenshot was taken in 2018. I don't know that they have an updated one for the 21-22 year, but it's available. You can kind of locate this. I've seen it on a couple different CTE things, or you could use this just as a reference. So I was just talking with our director of client services, Martha Friedrich, and I was explaining to her, I hate going through this slide. And that's because we really do understand how CalPAD's functionality, its delay, its bugs are really impacting you all. And so this is not meant to be a lecture, right? This slide was actually created before post redesign was implemented. So we understand you may not be as far along as you'd like to be, or you can't confirm how far you're along because some reports are not available. Some students haven't been able to be submitted due to bugs and whatnot. But we're at the end of June and you're in this training. So if you've already started submitting your data, you're right on track. There's some people who have trying to put it off because it's not an efficient way to do it this year. You've seen it's only getting better incrementally. So you want the data in, because come August, you have 1 month and you want to be resolving those CDDs and those certification errors. You don't want to be initially submitting your data. At that point, you might have to resubmit files, but you already want to have an idea of what your counts look like, and you want to be familiar with the submission process and the changes. So if you are in CalPADS and you're submitting files for end of year 4, 3, 2, you're getting the idea of what it's like, and that's very important. Currently, the target date is still 8/26. I don't know that they will hold everyone to 8/26, but I do know we do not have a lot of time for extension, just because the start of the new year is coming, and ultimately this data is needed outside of just CalPADS, right? You have to have the cohort and you have to provide the data for the fall dashboard. And so I've seen the deadline extended, but I've never seen it extended longer than a couple of weeks. I think September 12th was the longest, an additional 2 weeks, or wait, it was a week after Labor Day one year. So even if they do extend it, understand they're not going to extend it much further than 8/26. So you do want to be submitting your data, and you want to be targeting 8/26 as best you can. So we talked about the different resources earlier. I would encourage everyone to be familiar with the top link and the bottom link on this slide. The top link is the CalPAD service desk. So I would imagine if you're submitting data to CalPAD at some point, you had to submit a ticket. If for no other reason, to ask, is this a known issue? So, that's the fastest way to get a response, is use that link at the top. It's also in CalPADs under help. And then the listserv. If you're not familiar with the two listservs, at the top is the FigMat CSIS listserv. It allows you to talk to other LEAs. The CalPADs community is really helpful in that they have shared experiences, and they have student information system and special education data system expertise that we do not have. So it's easy to find someone who's been submitting CalPAD for a decade and has also used your student information system for a decade. So if you're new, I would join the listserv. And if you have a question, don't be embarrassed. Don't hesitate. Ask the question. And I promise someone is more than willing to help, always. And then the CalPADs listserv. So we point you to the communications page, but if you want direct information coming from CalPAD, sign up for the CalPADs listserv. There's nothing to response. It doesn't come as frequently as the communications and the CSIS listserv. So if you're hesitant to join listservs because sometimes they can become overwhelming, I still would recommend that you sign up for the CDE listserv. When a flash message is released, it goes directly to your inbox. It's a good way to stay abreast of changes, and they are coming fast and frequently. We want to say thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for all your hard work, and thank you for being patient with us. It seems like we've been the bearer of bad news lately, and normally I don't mind it because I get to run away, but when I got to face the audience day in and day out, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. So we want to thank you all.